welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Gamers8, as we now have ourselves quite the fixture here, and it will be a rematch from Gamers Without Borders, as we have ourselves Maru going up against Solar. These two combatants, 2-0 at the moment. One of them will guarantee themselves a spot in the round of 8. I'm excited, they're excited, everyone's very excited. I've got Ben here as well as Rotterdam to talk about things. Roddy, this is actually really cool to see on this level, not only because, well, technically Solar beat him back then at the Gamers Without Borders, but Maru's looked awesome in the last day.
Yeah, Maru pretty much always looks awesome.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Last two GSL seasons, he looked kind of good. Yesterday, we had that crazy TVT where it just feels that almost every single Terran would be like, all right, this is it. I've lost a few too many SUVs. And his face just doesn't change. He just stays so focused. And he's like, this is fine, guys. I've got Ravens, okay? And Maru with Ravens is a dangerous animal. But Solar is really building up that momentum that we've seen him build up in the past in early stages of a tournament. Because that victory over Clem, it's just a really big one, man. Clem was hot over victory over Dark. We all thought that's going to give Clem the wings he needs to bring that online performance to an offline event. And Solar said, sure, maybe, but I'm still Solar.
Sure,
and I'll put him in his place.
Feel like the challenge steps up. As we take a look at the map vetoes here, though. So Solar so far. Oliveira defeated, Clem defeated, now against Maru here.
I mean, Maru's obviously a different beast altogether, isn't he? But I mean, like, these two, they have that very weird series getting here. Like, they were both kind of on the verge, right? And it was like, okay, whoever wins this next one. And it turned out to be Solar, like 3-0. It was the weirdest series I've ever seen, like 3-star bot, 2-base BC. It looked very questionable. Now, they are teammates, but they have had a lot of series beforehand over the years where it's like Romanticide, obviously everybody remembers the first nuke of many on Solar came from Maru.
Good times.
Absolutely amazing times. But Solar, his ZVT is actually getting really sick, and he plays it the same way every time, where he's taking a beating, but he's actually holding on. But as soon as he's unleashed with Hydraling Bane, he's so damn good at it. And I think even back then, he was giving Maru like a bit of a tough time. It wasn't easy for him. So I think this is kind of like the best ZVT Solar we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I said it the last time we were on a desk with Solar going up against him. I'm going to say it again. He feels confident in this matchup. I mean, sometimes it ebbs and flows, but when Solar's feeling on this matchup, he's really feeling on with it.
I think Solar is very confident in this matchup, especially in the first 9-10 minutes. And he's incredibly good at recovering from damage as well. Often when we watch high-level Zergs and we see them lose a few too many drones to Banshees or Hellions, we're like, oh, now the next wave is probably just going to kill him, right? As soon as Stim and Combat Shield kicks in, Solar is incredibly good in just hanging in there, getting out enough units, stabilizing, and then he flips the script and he says, now it's my turn, and those Solar attacks are deadly. He does not attack with the intention of, let's deal some damage. No, he attacks with the intention of getting you out of there. And to be honest, I think that's the right approach against Maru, because we just saw another GSL finals. You don't want to play these 20+ minute ZVT games against Maru on maps like Greswell or even Altitude for all I care. Maru's too damn good with mass goals, so if Solar wants to get the job done, play with the same intensity as he always does in this matchup, and then he really does have a chance.
It feels like Solar, like one of his best strengths against Terran is the fact that when Terrans set up and try and engage him, like they have these tanks in weird corners, right? And it's like a lot of Zergs get impatient, they run into it, but Solar's very good about, okay, I get my army behind the enemy lines, I either do a counterattack or I'm just stopping reinforcements. Then at the last minute, the last opportune moment, he's just like, okay, now I collapse on you and I take a really good fight, and then I get going. So yeah, I think if you're in Maru's side and you're like coaching him, it's like, all right, man, maybe don't go for these kind of like all-in risky pushes, really try and go for the late game, but they both know each other so damn well.
I mean, that's the thing. For Maru, especially on these international stages, the first Zerg that he goes up against, when there's the caliber of Zergs we have here, is almost always that litmus test of how is he faring against Zerg on this particular stage, because, you know, you're almost certainly going to have to contend with Dark, Rain, or Serral later on, potentially, in the shoes of Maru.
Well, Maru has just looked so good lately, and I feel like he's been looking very confident this event. I think he was excited to be here as well. He seems to be in a good mood. He's kind of smiley. Obviously not when he's playing. When he's playing, it's all business. But I feel like this is a very dangerous Maru. We've seen him in the past, and perhaps IEM Katowice, even if that finals didn't go the way that he wanted, maybe that was a bit of that chip on his shoulder finally, where he's like, I went all the way. I was in the grand finals, and I don't know what happened in those grand finals. That probably shouldn't have happened in his mind, but perhaps that gave him that last bit of extra confidence he needs to perform outside of the comfort of Korea, where we know that he is the very best.
Yes, I will say, I don't know who's helping who backstage when it comes to the Koreans, but when I walked back there and Maru sat down at his PC and stuff like that, I saw like 4 of the Koreans around him, like looking at games and things like that and whatnot. So who knows, man? I mean, they they might want to help Maru out. I think Solar might have been peering over the shoulder as well. I'm not sure, but
I mean, it is intimidating. You see Maru sat at a chair and he's got like Cure on the left side. You know, they're getting all buddy.
Yeah.
And there's like Beyond as well, and they're just, you know, they're all very praising of one another.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, of all the players here, like, even though Serral and stuff is scary, it's just Maru plays such a different game. Like that comeback yesterday against Cure, where he's 100 supply against 180, and he wins, and it's just like, nobody else on the planet can do that.
No,
like, they just can't.
Absolutely ridiculous. Final thoughts, Roddy?
Fireworks, man. I'm excited. I really hope we get to see the very best of Solar, because the very best of Solar can take down a Maru.
Yeah, it's a big conflict between these two. One of them will advance on to the round of 8. Let's get it done. It's Maru going up against Solar.
You know, before we talked about how sad it is when teammates have to face each other in the championships, but both of these players are sitting pretty at the top of the group, so I don't think there's anything too sad about this matchup, Fancy.
Yeah, it's going to be different for this one, أعزائنا المشاهدين. Whoever wins this match is going to qualify immediately. مارو بيكون عندنا من أفضل اللاعبين اللي واجهنا في البطولة هذه. زيادة على كذا بيكون خصمه سولر. أمس شفناه تألق ضد كلم. One of the best matches we've seen so far.
Yeah, this one's going to be very exciting. 2 players from Onside Gaming here with a bit of a trail of carnage behind them in these groups.
زي ما احنا عارفين كل مبارياتهم اللي لعبوها حتى الآن مارو ما خسر ولا ما إلى اللحظة هذه. سولر خسر ما بواحد فقط، فخلونا نشوف إذا يقدرون يكملون السيريس هذه ولا لا.
Well, let's bring out our first player. Onsides, Maru! Maru has yet to drop even a map in this tournament, going 2-0 over Showtime and 2-0 over Cure. Of course, he has not yet met a Zerg in this tournament, so he'll be facing his first one of the event.
بيكون شيء مختلف في مباراة مارو هالمرة هذه. أعزائنا المشاهدين بالأمس شاهدناه يلعب كل المابين حقينه في المسرح، وكلها كانت تيرن ضد أي أحد من الريسز الثانية، لكن ولا مرة لعب ضد زرق. المرة هذه بيكون يلعب ضد زرق مع خصمه زي ما احنا عارفين، لكن لازم تحسب حسابك إنه ما خسر ولا ماب، ما في ولا لاعب حتى الآن بالبطولة ما خسر ولا ماب إلا مارو فقط، فهو حامل التايتل هذا. بس هل يقدر يكمل المسيرة هذه مع خصمه اللي زي ما احنا عارفين من أفضل اللاعبين اللي موجودين عندنا؟ ما ندري، خلونا نرحب فيه. ممثل لفريق اونسايد اخر سولر. ماتش اب زي اللي شاهدناها بالامس اعزائنا المشاهدين، راح يكون تيم ميت يلعبون ضد بعض من جديد. سولر ضد مارو، اثنينهم متالقين في كوريا ومعروفين في انحاء العالم، لكن المره هذه بيكونون ضد بعض، عارفين بعض كويس، هم تيم ميت لسبب، لكن الان بنشوف مين منهم بيتالق وبيضمن التاهل الى البلاي اوفز.
Solar, teammate of Maru, really shined in his games last night against Clem, and he's left a trail of broken Terran in his wake. Will Maru be one of them after this match?
مارو بنفس الوقت بما انه هو المارين برنس، هو دائما نقول عنه انه من افضل لاعبين التيرن اللي احنا نعرفهم. الان بيكون عنده فرصه يواجه التيميت حقه، بس خلونا نشوف من اللي ممكن يتالق في هذه المباراه. يعني مارو قدامه تايتل لازم يحافظ عليه، الشخص اللي ما خسر ولا ما في بدايه البطوله، شيء مره مميز.
I'd like to invite both players from Onside Gaming to the center of the stage to shake hands.
عارفين بعض كويس، ابتسامتهم والسمرك حقتهم واضحه جدا على وجيههم، لكن الان راح يدخلون على طول في الجيم الاول، بنشوف من اللي بيتالق في هذا البست اوف 3.
Let's see who takes this one and then gets a day off. Very nice. Back to the casters.
All right, everybody, we have got ourselves Maru versus Solar coming up here, as we are going to send one of these players pick through to the playoffs.
The battle of the teammates, they play every single tournament inevitably. It feels like they're always running into each other and very unfortunately often before the grand finals. This is, of course, a match where they are both leading at the moment here. One game away from progressing. One of them will go forward, the other one will have a couple of other chances to continue afterwards. It's always an action-packed Zerg versus Terran match, and what I find so interesting between the two of them is the way it seesaws based on how they're both approaching it on the given day. Do we see the hyper-aggressive Maru? Because often, Solar just blocks that. His defense is next level. I think when it comes to just turtling up and surviving to Hive Tech, Solar is second to none. His Zerg versus Terran is just, it's an unbreakable rock.
Even when he looks on the rocks, right? Like he is, it looks like he's meant to die, you're meant to die, and he just keeps on hanging in, and he's like, oh cool, I got lurkers, and then the game just changes from that point on. So yeah, I can't disagree, man. It's definitely a situation where it's going to be fun to see if Maru can break Solo down. This could be another pretty long series, right? Because Maru might be forced to play late game, and if Maru gets forced to do that, he will absolutely accept it with open arms. He will sit back, build 10,000 command centers, and all of the late game units if he has to.
Of course, a bit of history between the two players with crazy back and forth matches. Often we do see, you know, if Maru can get a bit of a comeback or a bit of a cheeky win, he likes to follow up with a proxy barracks, and they have haunted the Zerg player in this matchup. It's been very frustrating for him when Maru catches him off guard, so keep an eye on Solar's Overlord patterns. He's going to be looking out for it. In the top left side of the map, representing Onside Gaming. If he wins this series, he goes through to the next stage. It is Solar.
Taking on our blue Terran player down in the bottom right, yet to lose a map, but boy, has he come close a couple times. This is Maru.
A disgusting comeback yesterday versus Cure that we're going to be talking about for a while. And Cure will no doubt be shaking his head out and going, how does this guy keep doing it? But it's good because I really feel for Maru, his absolute year of dominance. We all know it was 2018. He won every single major tournament in Korea, other than I think it was GSL versus the world. He won like 3 GSLs every single season. He was looking so powerful. And that came off the back of constant comebacks. Like he'd often have an opening go awry, as happens in a strategy game, playing hundreds of matches, but he'd always find a way to work his way back into it. And I think that comeback versus Cure really speaks well for Maru's form.
Maru going to open in a way that we've actually seen Maru open quite a lot. I know Bjorn is all about the Reapers, but Maru is, in my eyes, one of the first to start doing this on Grezvan especially. And really did kind of just enjoy going for these few Reapers early, put some pressure on and just take a nice macro follow-up behind it. So Bjorn really took it to the next level with a lot of quirky follow-ups after. Maru just seems to like getting these Reapers out, put a bit of pressure on, take a CC and just go from there. So he's going to do this. It's a good map for it because there's a few different jump up and downs for the Reapers as well. So we'll see just how all that goes here in this battle of the teammates.
Maru there is definitely known for being an enjoyer of this build order. As you said, maybe not as famous for his Reaper micro as Beyond, but he's definitely capable of still finding some damage. On the other hand, there's part of me that says Solar's so used to playing against this, and he does get better at it over time. But on the other hand, I keep seeing Maru come up with new variations in the follow-up. So there's quick third command center, there's 3-Rax Reaper, there's going for a really quick factory before third command center so you can do the double Marine drop early on, and all manner in between. We've even seen fast Banshees, which is the last thing you expect when your opponent's opened up with 2 barracks.
Yeah, no, it's the variables that really kind of make it difficult for Zerg. It's all well and good knowing these few Reapers are coming, but what comes next and preparing for all of that is sometimes an impossibility as this first Reaper starts to dance. It is 6lings already from Sol. He's going to make a couple more bunker behind the third base as well. And Maru's already building a Marine off of one of those barracks, so that's going to get pretty fun here as these couple Reapers together will poke at that Queen. The Lings will dance back and forth, and not bad damage to start off with. That bunker is absolutely going to get up. We'll see just how annoying that turns out to be.
I really like this idea. Normally you have to choose to either put the pressure on here at the natural in the main or deny the third base. But in this case, he says, look, I'll let it get up, that's fine. And then I'm going to have a bunker finished. I'm not going to reveal it until the hatchery's already committed. And that's the way I can, you know, I can have my cake and eat it as well. He's already forced extra Zerglings and Queens out. Notice Solar's only on 23 drones. That count's now starting to go up, but he doesn't know about the bunker. He's going to move his Queens down there. Even a Marine walking across the map, Wardy. Oh my lord.
Yeah, the Marine's a little odd. Usually you just start going into add-ons, but it's going to be that little bit of extra DPS on this hatchery, and Queen's being kept back by the Reaper Grenade to continue to hit the hatch, and Sol has to decide right now, is he going to keep this and defend it, or is he just going to get the cancel and the money back? Looks like he's going to keep it. He's going to try and make this a defense. He has no energy for transfusion, though.
That's crazy. He's going to go for it. The Queens are coming forward. Those Zerglings looking to engage the bunker as well. There's only one SCV. He's got to go right now. He can't wait any longer. The hatchery's down to 200 hit points. Is Maru going to focus it? Maru's trying to focus the hatchery down. He does. The Lings backing away. I don't know why the Lings are backing off there. Solar realizes he was never planning to fight. The Reaper's going to the natural. Solar is looking tilted right now.
Oh man, he was giving him a little smirk as well, wasn't he? As we lose 3 workers in this natural. The Reapers continue up into the main. Gonna be tough now with speed, but it looks as though the Reapers might be out to the low ground. There's Lings to meet them as well, so at least these Reapers will go down, but this is massive damage. A kill on that 3rd hatchery, and then of course on top of that, the drones is just icing on the cake.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, the correct call would be probably to give the hatchery up. You could argue he could have engaged earlier with the Zerglings. It's not a pretty fight engaging a bunker like that. It was so well positioned by Maru. You can't get the surface area. I think either way, it looks very uncomfortable for Solar, and that's just a lovely trick for Maru to bring out here. Solar says, oh, seriously? You know, we practice, we play all the time, but of course Maru saves the cheekiest build orders for the biggest stages.
And look at the follow-up too, like a Liberator's on the way, we're reactoring out Hellions as well. Very fun follow-up, extremely intrigued to see exactly where Maru takes us in terms of when he tries to push out, what his timing will be here. I guess if he gets a starport on the reactor now, swap it off the Liberator and then onto the reactor and you stop building Hellions, you can actually still have 2 Medivacs for stim finishing, so you can still apply that pressure and have Hellions to help with it, so pretty neat build. Then you've got the Liberator harass too. Kind of love it, man.
Yeah, you got 3-prong, you know? 4 to 6 Hellions on one side, Liberator on another. The Medivacs dropping the Marines around. Really nice way to just keep the pressure on Solar. Solar, though, is famous for taking punch after punch. We often say he has kind of that Rocky Balboa style of Zerg vs. Terran, where it's like, it looks like he's losing for 15 minutes, and then he wins. He outlasts his opponent. He bounces back from the punches. And I mean, look at his worker count. He's up 13 workers. He's got good creep spread. His queen count is blossoming, but first big problem is coming in. That Liberator in the main base. He does see it with the Overlord, but he hasn't noticed it just yet.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple of drones going down at the very least here. One more got pushed in by the Queen, apparently, and now he just unsiege, relocate, and of course the Medivacs are coming across the map. The Hellions are poised on the southwest side as well. We have, like you said, triple prong attacks coming our way very soon, and Solar's just going to have to try and find a way to deal with this. Otherwise, he's going to be in some trouble. Queen already here, but the Liberator might be able to shove that Queen out the way. The extra Queens will show up. We should be able to transfuse, keep the Queen alive. The Hellions start to clean up creep, and the Medivacs are dropping into the main base of all places.
Oh, the Overlord sees it. The Lings are on the way back up. There's not that many Zerglings. Solar's got to be careful. He's got a great worker advantage right now, but Maru's the one in the driver's seat looking to find damage. Maru all the way in there. Those units starting to fall. Lings out, going for the wraparound, and the great pickup timing as the stim runs out for Maru.
He was just very didn't try and get too much done right. I feel like some people would stim in extra time, try and keep a couple more Lings, but then just lift up anyway. He was just so ready to lift up and say, cool, this was already great for me. Gets another Overlord as he comes out here as well. And this is just all going well for Maru. Obviously, the opening was fantastic. He continues in a great spot for the moment. He gets one SCV, killed that Ling, getting something, but that's a very, very small victory in the grand scheme of things for Solar.
Solar does have a 4th base up, 67 workers, and pretty good mineral income coming in. If he can find a way to squeeze out another 10 or 15 workers, he's going to be soaring. But for now, Solar is wary of the incoming attack. He knows that Maru could throw something his way. Maru's 3rd command center was not all that early, but it is now up and mining. And here we go, 2 siege tanks and a big pack of Marines. Great catch for Solar. No way, he actually gets it. That is fantastic.
Great start, going to weaken some of the kind of staying power that Maru will be able to set up on the other side. As these Lings, he did pay the price of a few of those Lings. The Marines will continue forward. Baneling's finishing Baneling's speed, just a few seconds away. If we can hold on for that, then brilliant. The Marines are moving up. One single tank will siege here, and the Marines just going to sit there and Solar biding his time. Baneling's speed about to finish. This will be his chance. He still has creep spread coming down this ramp to help speed things up.
I don't think he needs to fight this just yet. I'd like to see him do some more backstabs and really buy time, but as the hatchery takes more damage, that will pile on the pressure. Backstab tries to go in speed Banelings, but there's a tank, I believe, blasting on them. He does take out 10 SCVs. Queens are falling on the front line at the same time, though. He's got to go. Those Hellbats a big problem.
Wow, we have to sim one more time. Another tank just about getting sieged up. The Marines have to run. They don't have the HP to survive the Lings too heavily. We have to pull quite far back. We lose all the tanks. We lose the Hellbats. Maru about to lose his 1-1 upgrade advantage as well, as it will finish up here in just a moment from Solar. He adds on 3 additional barracks. He wants to keep up the pressure off these 3 bases, but I think Solar's done a great job so far of dampening the storm.
Yeah, I really feel like, think about it, there was a bunker behind the 3rd. Reapers in his face from the start. He lost his 3rd base. He's had Liberators and Hellions going at it. The Marine tank pushed to follow it up. Now non-stop Marine drop pressure. Despite that, Solar's chin is holding up. He is weathering the punches. His Ling backstabs are still very active trying to go in there. Maru's very well prepared for those at home. But I think now Solar says, okay, well, you're wary at home. You've got plenty of tanks and Marines there. I can drone up. I can head towards that hive. The infestation pit's on the way. His 2-2 upgrades aren't too far behind, but oh, that hurts.
That's really nasty. That's 10 drones straight away. That's just a fantastic little drop. It ran straight past the creep spread. Solar feels he's safe there, right? Anything that will come in will just probably knock down creep tumors, but Maru says, no, I'm going to run straight for the mineral line, take down some workers. He gets 15 workers across the board with this, so that's a fantastic little drop, and Solar taking mega eco damage, just as things were looking oh so good for him. Maru is setting a fourth base up behind all of this as well. He's now pushing on the right side with this couple of medevacs dropping, and he is still just keeping up that pressure and keeping Solar pretty pinned back. The creep spread hasn't advanced very far forward either, and still some low HP Marines. Maru, stop bullying the guy. He's your teammate.
Yeah, I think Maru's watched a series recently of Beyond or two, because this is how Beyond tries to throw Solar off his game all the time. It's just like real constant drops in your face being annoying, and Maru, he's adding extra little details there, realizing that Solar's going to drop his guard, thinking, oh yeah, that drop's done, I can look away. Looks back, he's lost an extra couple of workers. That stacks up. Now Solar is trailing in the supply. His hive's on the way, but his worker count not quite as healthy as he'd like to be. Yet another drone going down. Maru being absolutely obnoxious. Was that 2 banelings as well?
2 banelings for the 1 Marine. Oh, yeah, that's really a summary of how this game has been in a way. Solar's had a couple good defenses, but then Maru has just been so in his face. Maru now setting up in the center of this very abusive position. You can get going on Grezvan, so we'll get ourselves into the middle of the map here. Some Marines starting to stem forward. A Lingbane up on the high ground could potentially come down. We've got Lingbane set up for the flank or counter-attack. Take a pick. He's going to pick up some reinforcements first. And this is going to be how he tries to defend against this. But Maru's about to have 2-2 to 1-1, so this is not really the time to fight for Solar.
Solar cannot fight there. It's a trap. This is what Terrans have been doing lately on Grezvan, where they set up in the very center of the map and they want to bait you into trying to flank because you think the army's up the front. As Solar, you see a siege tank shelling, you're like, oh, his whole army must be there. That's bait. There's 1 tank and 1 Marine. Now everything else is in the middle of the high ground. He's waiting for Solar to make the mistake of engaging. Solar has to give up the hatchery, and he makes that mature choice. Great decision-making by Solar. Attacking in right now would be a bad call. He's going to go for the backstab, but look at the SimCity, really well walled off by Maru.
Yeah, Maru's just so well set up back at home. He's been in such control that he's had time to set that up. He's got a few units back here, and Solar can't justify running into it. So now what? We're going to try and go for the wraparound on this army. We're going to be 2 bases down in a couple of moments as this hatcher on the high ground will fall. And the position is just so hard to break out of, especially when Solar doesn't have any supply lead in his favor. He's about to hit a couple Vipers. Adrenal glands on the way. I just don't think these are things which are turning a game around that is this far behind for Solar.
8 racks Marines production. They all have reactors. Every single barracks is on a reactor. Maru can reproduce 15 Marines at a time. And look at this. Oh, Solar goes for an ambush. Maru with a huge mistake. The Hunter becomes the Hunted, moving into the Banelings. Maru not watching his army. Despite that, look how quickly his supply is popping back up. He is massing those Marines and tanks out. He's also building 2 more command centers to prepare for the late game. Solar trailing by 40 supply, almost entirely in the army. He's on the ropes.
He has got some magic to make happen. Maybe the Vipers can help out. Maybe the Adrenal Glands will give the Lings the little boost they need. I would say it's unlikely, but, well, let's see what Solar does. The Lings down this bottom side, going to run straight into these Marines. That's not a fun fight, and that's just more units gifted away to Maru as he approaches being maxed out. Solar's now trailing at 130 supply. And it's just looking worse and worse. Maru completely changing his direction, attack to this left-hand side. Solar is going to spring onto this army. He drops parasitic bombs on the Liberators. Okay, cool, but that's just not enough. Maru is going to take game number 1 of this best-of-3 series.
You know, a slight deep breath there for Maru at the end of that game is probably about the biggest reaction we ever see from him outside of the very rare time where he cracks a smile or a bit of a frustrated expression. But Solar there did get the worst end of it. He did a good job of holding on for a while, and just when it looked like he was out of the woods, those drops started to find damage. Those 8 Marines in the south really started to stack up. That distracted, so the drop in the north found more damage as well. And from there, Maru had a clear game plan. He said, I'm going to get a 4th base up, but it's not the turtling up 4 bases. This is mass Marines, tanks being built one at a time, Liberators being rallied across. It's all about the momentum. If that push doesn't work, Maru's follow-up is kind of weak because he doesn't have a second factory early. He doesn't have the ability to build Marauders or Ghosts, but it is a tempo-based play, and with the position that he set himself up for, a great way to start the series.
Yeah, that opening was brutal. This was a nice catch. This 1 tank maybe giving Solar a bit of a chance to survive through this first wave after a rough opening, and he started to kind of have me believing, right? Like his defense started looking good enough to sort of be like, you know, maybe. And yeah, it was this drop that led to these extra couple of Marines still being here and just getting the little bit extra. This, you know, when this happens and it doesn't even look like it affects the Terran, that tells you just how far behind the Zerg has been.
Yeah, that was a really terrible turn there in that one engagement for Maru, but he just had the bank, he had the advantage to rebuild immediately. And interesting style for him to pull out. I feel like this has been Maru's approach recently in these big tournaments. come out of the gate swinging. Just come in like aggression into something else to throw your opponent off, into a big old timing attack to finish the game. He's not sitting back. He's not going into these series saying, oh, let's just play like it's a ladder game. Let's scout and see what comes my way. Everything seems to be pre-planned. And another fantastic map for his race here in map 2, which means map 1 was actually his opponent's map pick, looking for the 2-0 and the progression to the quarterfinals. In the top left side of the map, we've got Maru.
In the bottom right, he was hounded from the very first moments of game number 1. Let's see if he can find his resolve and get going in game number 2. Our red Zerg player is Solar.
Well, this map's really tough.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
This is going in Gressman and then into this. Part of me is wondering what Solar vetoed. Royal Blood, I guess, is a map which he
vetoed
really...
Neo as well.
Oh, he vetoed Neo, really?
Yeah, pretty sure.
That's interesting. I actually thought Solar would be quite comfortable in Neo Humanity, simply because as good as Maru is in late game, it's very rare Maru Solar is decided by late game, right? It's usually an early mid-game kind of battle for tempo, momentum. You're both trying to go at each other. It's fascinating to hear that he would actually close that. Then again, there are some pretty brutal tank spots, like those little corners on the ledges, so maybe he's afraid of those.
Maybe he just is afraid to super late game against Maru as well. Super Turtle Terran is possible in Neo Humanity, also via Dragon Scales, I would guess, because Royal Blood's map 3, so... God, it is a bit of a Terran map pool, right? Like, we're meant to see maps which are decent for Terrans across the board, but maybe not quite the combo of vetoes that we usually see from a Zerg. As Maru's just going for the Reapers again, I gotta say, I haven't seen him do this on maps that aren't Grezvan in quite a while. Like, he did this a little bit kind of on maps, maybe when they first started doing this 3-4 months ago now, but I haven't seen him do it on any map other than Grezvan in a hot second, so...
It's his comfort zone at the moment, I feel.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, let's just go 2 barracks, gives me so many options. And you know, having the natural walled off, it's always been something Terrans lacked. If you think about like weird roach pressures, Ling floods, random Ling backstabs, Ravager Ling wall-ins, they always are very hard for you to defend your natural as a Terran, and it's always like, pull up your ramp, defend the high ground. But sometimes it puts you in this awkward scenario where it's just harder than it should be to defend basic attacks. If you go straight for that wall off on the low ground, it's much harder for the Zerg to harass.
Well, here's our Reaper showing up and starting to put some damage on these couple Lings. There is the drone that's hiding over here, trying to actually get away from the other Reaper showing up, I believe, on the right side, or just the SCV. So just trying to hide that, get that, so it can put the hatchery down in the near future. The SCV is doing its best to try and stop a third hatch coming up, but he just doesn't know where it's going to be. And yeah, like I said, it's a good little trick from Solar to keep that drone alive.
And droning quite hard. Has the extra Overlord, Queen, Ling speed. And he's going to go for the slightly delayed third. I really like the way Solar's done this. It's an alternate approach to rushing that third hatchery. Ooh, nice. Creep Tumor sniped by the grenades. Very nice plays by Maru, who's still like, okay, I guess there's no third. I'll go home with my SCV. Of course, we can see that hatchery's popped up just up to the right.
Yep, hatchery does come down from that drone that hit away for a few moments. Third CC straight on the way, so just super macro mode from our Terran player. Gets the add-ons going now as well, as the factory's about to be done up in the main base, and we will just continue on through from there. Ling speed finishing from Solar, and yeah, the Reaper's just back away. Obviously no intention from Maru this time because the hatchery's later. No intention to bunker behind, no single Marine that wanders all the way across the map or anything, so it's a little bit more regular. As Ling speed will finish, but these Lings can probably go to the other side and just sit there. There's not much for them to really do.
You know, I really like the way Solar mixed in a lot of backstabs in that last game. I think that's something which he's normally, because he's so defensively minded, maybe missing in his play in the past. So seeing him bring that out in the last game was great. He just, of course, had other areas that did fall apart. Babylon, though, it's a short map. You don't have a lot of time to kind of go around your opponent's push. You've got to be very much kind of ahead of things and maybe stopping at a slightly lower worker count, massing up Ling Bane to be ready to jump on a push the moment it moves out. These are the sort of plays that Zerg players like to bring out here.
Yep, as these Lings going to have to try and get a grab on the Reapers. Good little turnaround with the grenade to help you. As in the end, these Lings are going to get the Reaper kills. Reapers just doing as much as they possibly can. One final Ling falls. Good to get rid of that bit of map control from the Terran player. Take those Reapers out from later. And Maru's maybe a little upset that he even had them on the map right there.
Baneling S second gas on the way for Solar. No lair just yet. Queen count continuing to grow. Double Widowmine production. Ah, okay. Maru does love this follow-up. He's going to go for the 4 Widowmine drop. Try to find some damage with that. Solar's usually pretty good at defending it, but sometimes it stacks up, especially if they go crazy and build like an extra 4 Widow Mines and a second medevac, something he won't be doing this game. That's where you can start to just stress the Zerg out and force some big mistakes. Notice he's moved out with his Marines, so he's cleared the Zerglings out, so Solar will not know this is coming.
Nope, no idea at all. These 3 Marines are going to grab a kill there, and now these Marines are going to continue to attack that Overlord, so a little bit more damage being dealt. Little bits and pieces. Stim is about to finish. A couple medevacs are halfway done. And the ledge is now starting up from Solar, who is just going to have to deal with that Widow Mine drop as well as the Marines starting to move forward. So we'll see how he'll handle all of this. We're even going to expend a scan. We're moments away from medevac showing up. Yet he scans to kill the Overlord already.
Yeah.
Solar now supply blocked as the Widow Mine drop hits.
Ooh, gotta pull those drones away. Oh my lord, oh my lord. Solar just reacting very slow. Ooh, okay. 5 drones could have been worse than that, but already a bit of extra denial on the mining time. And a Widow Mine goes to the natural. Lings unable to take that out in time. A lot of Zerglings went down to that. Oof. There's Spore Crawler as well.
Yeah, this is really bad, right? Because now you lost 6 drones, but you also lost a chunk of Lings, so you've got to replace drones, but you also kind of need the Lings because the medevac drop is coming with Marines, and it's going to head straight towards where we're going to go. We're going to go kill this Overlord first, so it's going to pick that off. Solar also just built a ton of Overlord scout, that supply block, so that is fine to then lose an Overlord, but that's money spent that wasn't into Lings or drones, and it just feels like he doesn't have much right now.
That 4th hatchery under assault. The Queen's come down. Interesting that he backed out of that so fast. That was an odd call for Maru.
Yeah.
To back away when really there wasn't anything but a few Queens.
Yeah, no, he had absolutely the information that he should be able to do more, right? Because he knows he killed those Zerglings in the natural, right? So he should have been able to realize, like, hey, you really shouldn't have much. And until he saw at least Lings kind of floating down here, I feel like he should have been fully committed onto those Queens, so... yeah.
That instant replay there of Solar's reaction, realizing that that's the... oh gosh, how did I not notice this a few seconds earlier? He handled it well considering, but yeah, he was definitely surprised because he'd had vision of that for a good 5 seconds or so, and pro gamers normally used to reacting faster than that, but even they get caught not watching the minimap at all times. Marine's going to scan forwards there, and oh my lord, bit of a hang there in the game, and we'll see if that can stabilize for a second there.
Yep, looks as though we'll have a couple moments. It's just our referee. We don't need too many of those, so hopefully just about a minute and we'll drop him out, and we'll get this resumed back into this game number 2 between Maru and Solar. Solar is once again kind of getting to that point where he kind of got to last game where it feels like he's maybe recovering a little bit. Maybe Maru didn't take as many advantages as he could have here.
Yeah.
But then let's see if he can keep on keeping on in this regard. So.
I mean, I always paint that picture, and you have been as well. Like, we talk about, it looks like Solar's losing almost every time he's playing Maru, even in the games he wins, until like a minute before he wins the game, because he's just sitting there and he's taking damage. But I guess what's hard for us to showcase, and even we don't see it watching the game, we only see it in the numbers, is the fact that he's building new workers and like putting them on the bases, filling them up, making upgrades at the right time, and doing all of that while this onslaught is happening. So that's really what Solar's superpower is, his ability to just kind of stay calm there while facing off against his teammate, the best Terran player in the world, who is so non-stop on that aggression. The game is now resumed. And of course, Maru's just going to back off there after clearing a creep tumor or so. Solar's got a nice supply lead for himself, up 14 workers as well right now. And yeah, definitely looks like a playable position for him. We've got 8 barracks coming up for Maru. I don't think there's a 4th command center yet, right?
No, I don't think so. It'll be really quick for a 4th as we do jump on a Queen here. So yeah, it definitely looks as though Maru has that kind of aggressive intention once again. Just go, go, go. Really just stay in this mid game. Never let the game progress from that point. Unless he really has to. Unless he really can't get the kill and blow, then maybe you take a 4th behind it. But then it's a very different game to play.
Well, he's not building add-ons on the barracks either.
Yes,
in the last game, he went reactors. This time, he's like, no, just extra Marine production. So he's just going to go. He's just going to rally mass Marine tank. He might not even start 2-2 upgrades, maybe just like +2 attack or something. Definitely wants to keep the momentum going. Maru is not playing a reactive style of StarCraft this tournament so far. It's all been pre-planned, all-ins, timing attacks. Taui got Showtime in the first round. Taui did really well versus Cure, you know, at some points, and then made a miraculous comeback. But look at this, Ling Bane backstab's going to get a good amount of SCVs. You don't want to sack too many units though. Solar, get out of there. He's got to blow that wall up and get out. If he realizes what he's up against, it's actually bad to trade too many Zerglings and Banelings for SCVs.
Yes, you want to make sure you've got some extent, some amount of Ling Bane left over to make sure you can deal with the big push, which is now setting up. He will at least have 1-1 to the 1-1. 2 upgrades still coming in on the side of Maru, and he's going to continue pushing down this right-hand side as we get set up down here. The tanks are coming. He's lost a bit of economy, but his army is stronger than ever.
Solar has a giant econ advantage. He technically, this top right base doesn't matter. He cancels it, but the other base, he can't give that up just yet. Oh, great backstab, cutting off the rally there, but Maru says, well, if you're sending that much across the map, you can't have much at home. Solar wisely gives it up, retakes an expansion on the bottom. He's still going to be on 3 bases versus now a 2-base Maru, who's lost control of his third. He's losing all of his depots on the low ground as well. Maru's supply blocked, and very badly right now. He's trying to rebuild those depots, but he needs a lot more than 2. Maru's continuing forwards. That tank position is brutal, though. Solar's got to be careful. Maru's pushing with such speed. That is hard to deal with, and now he's in range of your natural ramp. Solar has to set up the flank and deal with this quickly.
Yeah, but he has to come and stop this and then take advantage of what he's already done across the map. Shutting this down is going to be step number 1, or the next step for him, as these 3 Marines going to get on the high ground. So this is a very interesting moment. You can't lose that Baneling nest, as we do have the units coming in from all sides. Massive engagement. Solar trying to wrap around. The tanks are putting in work for Maru. He's still got Marines on the south, but the Marines on the top are hanging on.
Unfortunately, a bunch of Banelings ran right past these Marines in the south. It does look like an okay hold for Solar at first, but there's another army right behind it. These Marines buying time. The Baneling nest gets transfused. It barely survives, but there's a new army right behind it.
God.
This is a huge problem for Solar right now. That siege tank, those Marines are right there. He's got a few Banelings, but oh my lord, the Baneling nest is exposed to Queens, trying to buy time. The Baneling nest is about to fall, Wardy.
Yeah, he's only got 7 Banelings on the way. He's got 7 more, so ready. It's not going to be a lot. The Marines will split apart. Some of the Banelings connect, but now there's not really much of anything. 6 Banelings morphing in. Will they save the day? Marines on the other side are going to distract them, so they go back and forth. Maru splits. He kills the Banelings, and now he can get rid of the Queens as well. And at this point, it looks as though Maru is just going to overrun Solar. Lings and Hydras are just not going to do it on their own, not against this Marine count. And you see Maru just continuing straight up into this natural.
The decisiveness with which he pushed forward was absolutely amazing. It's so scary running onto creep like that, but Maru spread his Marines forward. His tanks methodically marched forwards, took position so deep in Solar's territory, and he takes him out there with some fantastic non-stop aggression.
Wow. I mean, straight to the quarterfinals, 6-0 in maps. Maru actually really shows up. Like, yeah, he had some troubling moments in some TVT, but across all 3 matchups, he's shown depth, ability to play. And Solar, obviously still in a great spot, has 2 more chances to make those quarterfinals, but he's going to have to let his teammate be the first one there.
You know, the advantage of being the greatest late game player, and people are afraid of you, they veto those late game maps, they let you play Grasswind into Babylon.
Yeah.
Maru says, you know, I'm pretty good at pushing with 3 and 4 bases as well. Big committed mass Marine tank pushers do come out there, and of course the teammates feel like they're fated to just play hundreds and hundreds of times over the course of their history together. But Maru is going to be the first through out of the Swiss stage.
Very, very exciting. We expect Maru to do very well. Sometimes when we travel to events, we don't quite know how well Maru is going to be. Sometimes he's not the Maru that lives in Korea, right? So,
yeah.
But his performance so far has been absolutely phenomenal. It's been amazing to watch, and we're very excited to see him continue into the playoffs. We're going to be heading on over to the stage to hear from the man himself.
Maru, yet another impressive victory. You still have not dropped a single map in this tournament, and this time you took out your own teammate, Solar. What is it like playing against Solar in this tournament?
팀 동료랑 경기하는데 어떤 감정일까요?
일단 동료랑 하게 되면 항상 기분이 좀 별로 안 좋았어가지고 그냥 했던 것 같아요. 미안한 감정도 있어가지고.
It doesn't feel good to play against my teammate, but yeah, it didn't feel well, but I'm feeling sorry for Solar right now.
زي ما تشوفون سألنا مارو السؤال الأول في المقابلة بعد ما خسر ولا ماب حتى اللحظة هذه، فاز في كل المبات، هو اللاعب الوحيد اللي سوى كذا، لكن هالمرة هذه كان ضد التيميت حقه سولر. فسألناه وش شعورك انك تفوز ضد سولر؟ قال انه صراحة انا اشعر له بالأسف، انا ما كان ودي اني افوز ضده، لكن هو شعور كويس اني انا فزت بس مو ضد سولر.
Not to push on the painful part, but you're telling me it's tough to take out Solar. Did it hurt to do that bunker harass and take out his hatchery?
벙커 하라스를 했는데 뭐 어떤 코멘트 했는지
일단 이거 경기하기 전에 변현우 선수랑 얘기를 좀 많이 했었는데 얘기하다 보니까 좋아 보여가지고 한번 해봤습니다.
그 선수랑 어떤 선수요?
변 선수의 변.
변?
네.
I did talk to Pyong player about this strategy, and it felt well. It felt good, so I decided to do that.
سألنا سولر السؤال الثاني في المقابلة، نتكلم عن الهراس اللي سواه على الهاتشري حق سولر بعد ما قدر يسوي البنكر وياخذ الهاتشري على طول. كان السؤال يتكلم عن انه هل كان شعور كويس انك انت سويت الاستراتيجي هذه مع انه ضد التيم ميت حقك، خصوصا انك انت تشعر له بالاسف، لكن كان الجواب يقول انه لا صراحة انا اصلا تكلمت مع بيون عن الاستراتيجي هذه وحاولت اني اطبقها في الجيم وقدرت اني اسويها.
Now, I have a question about Game 2 as well. There were some moments there from the spectator's seat that it looked like it was a little closer between you two, but were you at any point worried, Maru, that you had lost control?
두 번째 게임에서 지는 게 좀 걱정됐는지.
두 번째 경기에서 제가 상황이 좋았어가지고 그래서 뭐 질 걱정은 안 했던 것 같아요.
On the second game, I didn't feel like I'm gonna lose, so it was a good situation for me.
سألنا مرة السؤال الثالث ونهاية المقابلة، نتكلم عن اللي صار في الجيم الثاني. كنا حاسين انه خسر التحكم في الجيم وممكن انه يخسر الجيم بالكامل، لكن كان جواب يقول لا انا ما حسيت اني خسرت التحكم بالابد وكنت عارف اني بقدر افوز.
Well, you're 3-0 now, and 3-0 with no maps dropped. That's incredible. And you get to take a little day off as a result. So how are you going to spend your free day?
휴가 어떻게 보낼지 알 수 있을까요?
휴가요?
네, 내일 휴가잖아요. 지는 날.
내일 있지 않나요?
Isn't there a game tomorrow?
Is there a game tomorrow,
It's gonna be at the end of the day, but
At the end of the day, so a whole free day to hang out.
Basically, yeah.
그 같은 날 밤에 있을 건데 그거 쉬는 게 있어요. 쉬는 시간 있을 거예요.
그냥 변현우 선수랑 얘기 많이 하면서 그럴 것 같아요.
I think I'm just gonna chat with the Pyong player.
زي ما تشوفون سألنا السؤال الأخير في المقابلة، بحكم إنه الآن تأهل إلى الكوارتر فاينلز يكون عنده فرصة إنه ياخذ بداية اليوم كله أوف، فسألناه كيف تبي تقضي هذا اليوم؟ يقولون على الأغلب إني بجلس أسولف مع بيون أكثر شيء، بحاول إني أجهز للمباريات القادمة.
He's going to chat with some other players. I can't wait to see what those chats turn up, especially as we head on into the championships. But we're going to send it back to the studio now for a closer look at the matches that we just saw.
على طول بنرجع للاستوديو أعزائنا المشاهدين نتكلم عن اللي صار في هذه المباراة، خصوصا إن مارو ما خسر ولا ما بين اللحظة هذه، خلاص قرب إلى الكوارتر فاينلز.
Maru not only not dropping maps, but also gunning for Rachel's job. He indeed does have a match tomorrow. Who will stop the Maru man here at Gamers8? Welcome back to the desk. And damn, Maru looks good. Joining me, Ben, as well as Rotterdam to talk about this one. Roddy, Maru is looking hot.
He has done everything we could possibly ask for, and perhaps then some with that epic comeback in the TVT as well. We've seen this kind of stuff before in the past. When Maru goes up against Solar, it almost feels like Solar loses a bit of that spice in his matchup, but that's just not fair to Solar. It must just be Maru doing Maru things. I mean, killing that hatchery early on, such a phenomenal start. At one point, I actually thought maybe it's not that bad for Solar, but then Maru said, well, let me go ahead and drop a little bit, okay? Let's see what I can do with these drops, and it felt that Solar just completely fell apart.
I mean, even with these huge Baneling connections, it still wasn't enough for Solo to be able to get himself properly back in this game, Ben.
I mean, Maru, like as good as he is with all the micro stuff, he's so good about how he opens up as well. It's like he does the Reaper openings, but then very different follow-ups. And obviously, he was very ahead from game 1. But game 2, doing a Widowmine drop, handling it really nicely. And then this crisis management, he's like, yeah, I have to go. And it wasn't super rushed, but he makes it look so fast on creep, which is so hard to do. And then all the really nice tank positioning, like Terrans have got so good over the last few months, especially, with just making it like, hey, this isn't necessarily going to deal the most damage, but you cannot kill this tank unless you like spend a good 20 Banelings trying to do it. And Maru, just doing Maru things. He's yet to drop a map here, and he's looking so damn good doing it. And these are not easy opponents.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I love there in the end of Babylon, by the way, is the heart and commitment that Maru showed, because he was down 30 workers. So if he decides, killing this hatchery is good enough, let me go ahead and go back home, it really is not that great of a game for him. But he obviously knows it, and he's like, all right, I am the late game guy, but I also feel like I need to do a little bit more here. And then he's just so in Solar's face, and maybe Solar used a few too many Banelings a couple of times on those well-positioned tanks, but it's just Maru put him in such an uncomfortable spot. And obviously that's where people make mistakes. Yes.
As much as Solar topples here, I do think that we'll eventually end up seeing him in that bracket later on down the line, but we'll see here as time goes on. For Gamers8, we're going to go to a short break. When we return, we have more awesome games of StarCraft, loads more series of StarCraft on the way for day number 2.